Unlike the majority of the Volstroyan regiments that specialize in siege and pitched urban warfare, the 1054th Volstroyan Firstborn Regiment, also known as the Void Shrikes, is dedicated to void siege assaults and void combat. This expertise was forcibly shaped several millennia ago when the bureaucrats of the Departamental Munitorum selected the 1054th on the merits of their classification as a siege regiment for the siege of the fortified void station of the wayward Imperial System Lord Corsus Lynx, even though they only had ground siege warfare experience. As a result of overlooking this inherent difference between sieges in the cold depths of space and the grounded planetary assault, the 1054th suffered massive losses, both from the poor command decisions of officers that were inexperienced in void combat and from equipment and weaponry that was ill-suited for the nature of the siege. Yet after months of protracted conflict, the Void Shrikes were victorious. The mismatched men and women of the Volstroyan 1054th had breached the Void Fortress, dispatched Lynx's personal devotees, and captured the Manacle System Lord. Those who emerged from the gutted Star Fort were the best of the best that the regiment had to offer. Each and every survivor stood tall, having earned their place as a veteran of the Imperial Guard. From this time forward, the veterans of the 1054th and the subsequent replacements their regiment received from their homeworld have served the Emperor as a dedicated void siege force. The members of the 1054th have developed an almost preternatural awareness and possess a cunning born of several years of service in zero-gravity environments. Their equipment has become specialized to better suit the environmental requirements. As part of their standard regimental kit, all members are issued rebreathers and modified flak armor that can be made airtight for brief periods of time. While it's hardly as effective as a dedicated void suit, the modified armor is capable of keeping a wearer alive and uninjured for a few minutes in the void of space. This is typically enough time for a soldier to breach an airlock or pass through an area that has become depressurized. Against the regiment's doctrines, many of the regimental soldiers make further modifications to their flak armor to increase its effectiveness in such situations, although at the cost of their maneuverability. The regiment's officers don't sanction these modifications, but in spite of this, many of the non-commissioned officers overlook the entire problem. They recognize that the changes are generally traditions associated with platoons and companies that have served the regiment for millennia, and attempting to enforce the official doctrines could have serious consequences for overall morale. The Departamental Munitorum has rarely deployed the Void Shrikes effectively because they don't meet the expectations of other siege infantry, leading to a broad range of assignments that are widely inappropriate for the regiment's expertise and training. Sometimes they completely lack the required equipment to complete an assignment, or a regiment sustains high levels of casualties. Examples have included subterranean assignments on mining worlds, missions to aerial assaults upon an ocean world, and numerous deployments to face rebellious forge worlds. Also, the Departamental Munitorum has been incapable of providing the regiment with the necessary war gear to function effectively, making supplies a constant concern for the regimental command. Supplies are more comparable to shipments made for Imperial Navy crews, needing numerous logistical waivers to be delivered through traditional channels. Consequently, the Void Shrikes attempt to rely upon direct shipments of supplies from their homeworld of Volstroia, even though these are infrequent. To compensate, the supply officers of the regiment are exceptionally active in trading equipment with their counterparts in other regiments and even aboard their Imperial Navy transport vessels. Throughout the regiment's history, it has served on many fronts and most often alone, in part due to its specialized nature. The practice of deploying the 1054th all but alone has continued unchanged for the majority of its history. Only when the regiment is engaged in a task that proves to exceed its grasp are they provided the support of another regiment. After several thousand years of fighting on its own against all manner of foes, the Volstroyan 1054th has become capable of functioning in an independent fashion. Their service record is such an honor roll of glory, and their assignments so far-flung, that in recent centuries, the company commanders of the Void Shrikes have only rarely received their regiment's orders in person. Communications were maintained through a network of astropaths, and it was only through the undeniable evidence of their success that the Void Shrikes were guaranteed to have received their orders at all. The independence has served as a further complication for resupply of equipment, provisions, and replacement of losses by newly trained soldiers from Volstroia. Often these replacements can take decades to reach their target regiment. In some instances, this is because the units were initially shipped to as many as 4 locations where the Void Shrikes had been assigned at the time of the shipment. By the time the soldiers or war gear finally arrived, the 1054th has already been reassigned. To make matters worse, the regiment's protocols dictate that newly trained troopers are supposed to report to the regimental command prior to duty assignment. With a various series of redirections, this has left some newly assigned soldiers to travel for years before finally reaching their designated post. In a few instances, due to severe losses, some long-standing companies within the 1054th had to be combined or entirely disbanded due to a successive series of missions with high levels of casualties. The last known whereabouts of the 1054th was in the Calixis sector, where they were assigned to assault the star fort of Lycurgos, which was under the control of the Severan dominant. Regardless of all of the misguidance and confusion, the Void Shrikes believe that prevailing amidst the constant chaos is a way for them to prove their veneration of the Imperial cause. They understand that horror, pain, and death are all just rewards for curiosity. Therefore, to look too deeply into the mysteries of their assignments is at its core very heretical. Ignorance is truly bliss for them. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, if you could put my